Hello and namaskar viewers. I am Sanjeev Pandya welcoming you to this week's edition of the Tax Talk with AJ right here on ITV Gold. I know you must be wondering, Tax Talk after the tax season. Listen, Tax Talk is always there even after the tax season, during the tax season, before the tax season, because for you, maybe the tax season is over, but for many others, tax season is not over because they may have filed extension and they really need to figure out their taxes. And that's why we continue to bring this show, the Tax Talk with AJ. The show is sponsored by Science CPS Services, a full-fledged professional accounting firm located in the state of New Jersey, multiple locations in New Jersey, and they can assist you with any tax matter, whether it's a personal tax matter or corporate taxes, or even if you need a virtual CEO, CFO, or someone to do payroll for your small businesses, mid-sized businesses. Science CPS Services is the one stop for you, and they can help you out. The trained and knowledgeable CPAs are there to guide you in the right direction. Science CPS Services believes in doing taxes right, and your taxes must be done right, so that way you can avoid any audit or any hassle that comes after filing a tax return. You can contact Science CPS Services by calling them 908-888-8901 or visit their website sciencecpsservices.com. With that note, I'd like to welcome Mr. AJ Kumar, CPA MBA with Science CPS Services for over 25 years, and brings all the information and the knowledge and experience that we need to when it comes to taxes. AJ, good to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sanjeevji. Thank you for the kind introduction.
You're very welcome, and you look a little relaxed. I know we're in end of April, but you look a little relaxed, so that's good.
Yes, it's a blessing.
It's a blessing. That's all we can ask for and we can hope for. All right. So today's topic, AJ, is been in the news 24/7. No matter what channel you look into it, no matter what publication you pick on to read, that's where you see Trump's tariff for this country, for that country, and this and that. Now, I want to point out one thing, AJ. Because of this Trump's tariff matter, stock market has taken a big hit. Trillions of dollars have been lost in the last couple of weeks. Slowly now it's gaining momentum. As we go into the shooting of this episode, stock market has been up for 3 days in a row. So let's see what happens, after that. So tariff issue has really hit the stock market badly, has hit the, major businesses, mid-sized businesses, and the small businesses. Do you really believe the tariff issue, AJ, is going to affect local businesses on Oak Tree Road as well?
I'm sure it would. Not just the local businesses, but the population in general. Think about sales tax, or we call it VAT, value added tax in India. Even though the shopkeeper is paying the sales tax, is the responsibility of the seller. But who actually pays the sales tax? The sales tax is paid by people like you and me. The end user is paying the sales tax. Income tax, a government forced tax, a system where you have no option but to pay a certain amount of money to the government system. And I don't see tariff any different than income tax, sales tax. It's a forced way for the government to collect the money through the small businesses, but at the end of the day, who is actually hurting? Who is actually paying? Which pocket is it coming from? And I say it's your pocket, my pocket. So take an example, quick example. Let's say you used to buy something for $1.
Yes.
Now you have to pay 245% tariff. So $1 you pay to the manufacturer, $2.45 you pay to the government. At the end of the day, it's costing you $3.45. So when you sell it to the end user, you charge $3.99. So thing that used to cost $1 is costing the end user $3.99. So who actually paid the tariff? Did the small business pay the tariff? Did those foreigners, these bad countries that we are blaming all over, that they are taking advantage, are they paying this $2.45? No, it's coming from your pocket, it's coming from my pocket. How is it different than any tax? The promise that you made was to lower the taxes, to make it easier for the small businesses. I don't see it that way.
Not
That's
yet,
why-
at least, because ever since he's got the office, talking about President Donald Trump, he's been on top of this matter, tariff issue. Now, listen, it's a very clear that tariff issue has concerns and has kind of confused many small businesses to mid-sized businesses. So what we decided that we decided to have a guest who owns a boutique right here on Oak Tree Road in Edison, and that's a boutique which carries a very stylish and high-end clothing, dresses for women, men, and children. And she is the owner of Damini Boutique that everyone knows about it, and she is Miss Amita Singh. And Amita Singh has joined us, in today's episode to discuss how tariff is going to affect, boutique clothing also. So Amita ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here, Sanjeev.
Has tariff made you nervous a little bit when the announcement made?
Quite a bit. It's got me at a halt, trying to figure out how to go forward.
So now let's just say that obviously, Damini's boutique, whoever has seen the place, it's one of the best boutiques right here on Oak Tree Road, and perhaps wherever the Indian community is in the state of New Jersey, because they carry, like I said, very stylish, fashionable, and a high-end clothing for women, men, and children for all the occasions. So obviously, you have a very large inventory in your store, and when you import these dresses and materials, are you concerned that the tariff is going to raise the prices and the consumer is going to be confused whether they want to buy it or not?
Sanjeev, the basic thing you have to understand is, luckily this is more of a passion. As long as I can pay my bills, I'm happy. I'm not looking to make major profits on anything. Having said that, I try to source things in the back streets because I cut out the middleman, I cut out the agent, I try to do all that, and I've done that for years just to keep the prices low. Because ultimately prices have to be low because it has to be consumer friendly.
Correct.
And you have to move the article.
Yes.
On top of it, the shipping cost has gone up more than double in the since COVID.
Right.
And we have insurance. Everything comes legally through customs. So when you put the whole package together, as much as I back source it, as much as I go into the lowest of the lowest to get it, where do you stand? And like Ajay said, it's very true. Ultimately, even to meet my bills, to pay what I need to, I have to earn a certain amount of money. And to earn that, what used to cost $1, if it's costing me $3, I have to, and I was selling it for $4, okay, I absorbed the extra shipping. How much can I be expected to absorb?
So it's going to affect the bottom line of your P&L,
eventually,
definitely.
and like he said, it ultimately goes to the consumer.
Let me ask you a question. If you can name a country or major countries where you import this.
I import everything 100% India.
Okay, that's all
And in
comes
my
from India.
case, as an Indian, let's talk about lehengas. A lehenga cannot be made in this country. So I don't have a choice but to import. It's not an item that, okay, in 5 years, 2 years, I can set up an industry in my garage or, somewhere. I have to. And my other issue now is, which has got me a bit nervous, I have to place an order between 2, mostly 6 weeks for the orders to be completed.
Correct.
So if I tell my supplier, go ahead, put my choice, put my order in place, I don't know in a week what I'm paying for that product.
Right.
I've committed it, say, $50,000 for my entire shipment. By the time, before even it gets to the airline, before it's even packed, it might go up. And my word has to, once it's in production, I'm committed to buying that.
Oh, absolutely.
I cannot say
yes.
to anybody, sorry, I can't afford it
So
anymore.
if you think about it, take the China as an example. It started with 45%, then it became 105%, then it became 145%, then it became 245%. Take India, 27%, 26%, 10%. So if you are placing the order now, the order is going to come in 2 months. What's the guarantee that the tariff is going to be 10% or 26% or 45%? Okay. How do you budget? How much can you buy? You may not be able to afford at that time when the actual shipment is coming to your door.
Okay, that is the point. I just want to let viewers know, it's one kind of disclaimer, but I just want to let you know that what we're discussing tariff rates right now, they are all subject to change because nobody knows exactly what kind of final percentage is going to be for what country. So keep that in the mind that where the percentages we discussed, these are not the final percentages because they are subject to change. Even as we go, I just want to point this out, AJ, because I saw it in the news as we go into the shooting of this show. There was an investor summit in Washington DC today, and that was put in together by JP Morgan and Chase. The reason you see bump in the stock market today because Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was there, and he instilled confidence in the investors, saying these tariffs are unsustainable. They are working on it, and that's why the stock market rebounded well. And just wanted to let viewers know that don't take these percentages. But Amitaji, coming back to you, when you import everything from India, from Trump's point of view, India's gotten little better deal. It's not that much. India charges 52%. Trump is saying that I'm going to charge you 26%. That's a relatively low in compared to Vietnam, China, and the other countries who are also exporters of these dresses and materials.
Sanjeev, let's understand one thing. I am an American citizen, and I've lived here for 46 years. I totally believe in paying taxes, supporting the country, everything that I can do. But as a small businessman, where I have employees I'm supporting, right. I have to do the uncertainty. I want to know when I place the order, the price stays where the day I get the shipment.
Correct.
The fluctuations is what bothers me. If I know it's 26% or 30% something, if I know it, I'll order accordingly.
Okay.
But that little uncertainty is a huge issue.
Before we go into the break, I've got 1 minute. I want to ask you a quick question. Ever since Trump announced these tariff matters and percentages, has it stopped you from placing an order or reduced the size of the order?
I have not placed an order.
You have not placed
I just came back from India.
A lot of small businesses are waiting to place the order or a lot of waiting just to wait. Just because things are changing so fast, minute by minute. I don't want to end up in a situation when I commit to something that I can't afford, right?
So Sanjeev, I just came back from India on the 25th of March.
Right.
I chose all my items and I told the suppliers, pencil my order in.
That's it.
I will confirm it.
Pencil it and make sure you keep eraser right next to it. All right. With that note, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation about Trump's tariff and India's growth, along with our guest, Amita Singh of Damini Boutique right here on Oak Tree Road in Edison. Stay with us. Welcome back to the second half of the Tax Talk with AJ. The show is brought to you by Science CPA Services. As I mentioned earlier, Science CPA Services for your all kind of taxes work to be done. On top of that, in case if you have gotten IRS tax audit, first of all, do not ignore that IRS tax audit letter which you received in the mail. Don't worry about the one that they call you and they tell you that's a scam. And AJ has mentioned that many times in our show. But the letter that you got, if it's a legitimate IRS tax audit matter, and if you're confused, and especially if you're one of those who actually do filing on your own, then my suggestion is to contact Science CPA Services, have them look into it, and most likely they will really help you out that you cannot even imagine. So that's what Science CPA Services is all about. Once again, their phone number is 908-888-8901 or sciencecpaservices.com. In today's episode, we're talking about Trump's tariffs and how they're going to be affecting small businesses and what are small businesses concerned and what actually they are planning to do. As a matter of fact, they are not doing anything right now. But what would happen if tariff goes into effect? And that's why we have our guest, Ms. Amita Singh, owner of Damini Boutique right here on Oak Tree Road in Edison, New Jersey. AJ, my question to you is, as we are touching this issue, Trump's tariff, I keep hearing the word reciprocal tariff. Can you shed some light on it?
Absolutely. So by definition, reciprocal means you did this, that's why I'm doing this. It's tit for tat. So India always had the tariff 52%. So initially, if you remember, the tariff to India was supposed to be 26%. Now they made it 10% as a universal tariff to 70 plus countries. But their intent was to create a reciprocal, meaning you have X amount of tariff on US product, so we'll have at least 50% of that. But what we are missing here is when we talk about reciprocal tariff, that those tariffs have been there for years. This is a new tariff. So whenever you're starting something new, whenever you start a new tax, say right now, the US government charged 37% income tax. Nobody's complaining about it. People are complaining about what? 10% of tariff. 37% has been there for years. 10% is a new thing. So as much as we talk about reciprocal, this is a new tariff, new expense that people are not budgeting for, that people did not know that they have to pay 10% extra on everything that they are buying in the market.
Okay.
That's what the problem
That's
is.
what it is. Okay. So now let's talk about the outcome of this tariff and how it will affect, from a local consumer to store owner, boutique owner, grocery owner, everybody else. And what would happen? What do you see, AJ, based upon your experience on this tariff matter?
Well, whenever something like this happen, and if you go back, take COVID example. So what we see, what we are seeing right now, a lot of small business will show more sale, larger sale. The sales will increase because people will buy out of panic. This is what happened during COVID time. People want to buy new car before the tariff increase. People want to buy more rice, more stuff. So in the short run, we expect the sales to be increasing. But once the sales increase for 1 to 3 months, after that, not only tariffs are here, so the sales are going to go down. People have already purchased what they needed for next 6 months. So in the short run, we see the sales are going to be increasing, only to be decreasing, pushing the economy into more of a recession type of situation in next 3 to 9 months if the tariff still remains there, and we hope not. But as far as the profit is concerned, main thing is the bottom line here, Sanjeev ji. So bottom line doesn't change. Actually, it's funny. If you are buying something for $1, you sell it for $1.10. If you are buying something for $3.50, you have to sell it for $3.99. So as much as the sales are going to increase, and so is the bottom line, then sales are going to go down, so the bottom line. But in general, from a percentage perspective, the bottom line wouldn't change.
Okay, the bottom line won't change. Now, let me ask you a question. Maybe it's premature or maybe a little bit ahead of the time, but if tariff really comes into effect and President Donald Trump decides to impose tariff, whatever the percentage may be, do you think the country will go into recession or economic meltdown?
I don't want to predict that, and I hope it does not happen, Sanjeev ji. The way I see it, President Trump is 1,000 times smarter than me. He has a big team. Everybody is smarter than me. Eventually, the way it's going to happen, see, people are not whining as much about 10% as they were about 26% earlier. So you give them a high percentage, then take it back to a lower percentage. Now people are happier with 10% as opposed to blaming 26%. So the way I see the happy medium is they will identify certain industry. Instead of putting the tariff on everything, they will identify certain industries that they want to promote. As Amita ji was saying earlier, lehenga cannot be made in US. It's just not possible. And lehenga is an Indian context. This country is made up of foreign people. Chinese people have their own lehenga. German people have their own item, which can only be done in German. We want basmati rice. It can only come from that part of the world. So how do you do a universal tariff? You have to identify certain industries, put tariff on that industry because you want to discourage import for that industry and make this industry grow in this country, locally over here. But putting a general, universal tariff may not be the long-term solution, in my opinion.
All right. So then that leads me to a question, and both of you can answer one by one. As you said, President Donald Trump, obviously, is a president and a business owner himself, a very successful business owner, and he's got a real intelligent team right around him and everything. I'm sure he must be aware that if tariff issue goes into effect, that's going to create a chaos everywhere else. What if he comes up with, and I'm just asking this spontaneously, what if he comes up with a major tax breaks for the businesses to offset this extra tariff cost to those businesses, so that way they can keep certain profit margin and be in the business, they are happy and end consumer is happy?
I'll take the first cut at it, and then Amita ji can add value to that. I don't see adding a lot of tax benefits to the small business is the solution against offsetting the tariff. Tariff, as much as small businesses are struggling, as much as running a small business is getting next to impossible, tariff is coming from consumers' pocket. A lot of people in this country don't have a small business, they have salaried. If you put the tariff, they are the ones who are bearing the real cost. When you go to grocery, if you don't have a small business, you go to grocery, you still have to pay $3.50 for that item. You can keep giving the benefit to the small business and hopefully the small business will survive. But is it really going to the same person who is actually being burned by the tariff? So you have to think outside the box and offsetting the tax, reducing the tax percentage, giving more property tax debate. There could be a lot of solutions. There has to be some offset to the tariff. Giving credit to a small business may not be the only part of it.
Okay, because his tax plan is supposed to expire end of this year.
At the end of this year.
And he's talking about extending it or making some changes
Absolutely.
to it. He's going to have to figure out, what to do. But anyway, Amitaji, that question for you is also that if you get a major tax, let's say a good tax break, then would you be happy with this?
The major tax break looks good when you get that letter, and it seems good. And ultimately, yes, Ajay is my accountant.
Right.
He's fabulous. My life is
He's everyone's
golden.
accountant.
Yes. So I consult him. What does this mean when you break it down? Any intelligent person will go back and say, at the end of the day, what is it costing me? Where will it take me? When you first see the numbers, it's exciting. But it doesn't get you anywhere unless you get that word from your accountant saying,
What's in it for me?
Yes,
Everything
ultimately.
sounds good.
And that's where the accountant comes in to tell you, yes, you can afford this, yes, you can't.
From tax angle point of view, that is perfectly well said that he is the accountant, he knows better. But let me ask you a question. Another question that comes to my mind is that if you get a chance to speak to President Donald Trump, what kind of advice would you give him about tariff? Because you've been a business owner for what, maybe almost 2 decades, 15 years or something?
8 years.
Yeah. So now
Yes.
you've seen Democrats and Republicans in the White House, right? You've seen it. If you were to give an advice to Donald Trump about this tariff matter, what would you tell him?
Be real about it. Make sense out of it. The uncertainty, the fluctuation is not only confusing, it might put me out of business. You have somewhere along, you're running a business, you have employees, you have so many other expenses. You just can't wake up one day and say it's this, it's that. You have to plan everything. Everything has to be structured.
Well said, well said. As you said earlier, Sanjeevji, if tax breaks are there for small businesses, would that help the small business owner? Would that help the general population? So tariff, I'm not against tariff. I'm not against any government plan. But if you think it through, as Amitaji is saying, and then you have an offset, hey, this is the tariff, but this is the tax break, this is the small business break, this is your QBI, qualified business income deduction. There are a plethora of those things. There can be a number of those things. You come up with a plan. This is what we are doing. This is why we are doing it. And this is an offset so you don't hurt. You don't go out of business. That would be helpful.
All right, we got 1 minute, a little more than 1 minute left. Last question to you is, President Donald Trump took the office, this year in January 2025. AJ, my question to you is that, do you think this is too soon, the tariff issue that he has put in? Should he have waited maybe 6 months, a year, just to see how the economy is going, how the businesses are working, and then come up with the proper plan instead of really making everyone confused?
I'm less concerned about the timing. I mean, I like President Trump. I voted for him. He is making a lot of changes, and his heart is in the right place. The way I see it, all these changes that are being done are done with good intent. The only thing I'll add, again, President Trump and his team is 1,000 times smarter than me. The only thing I would do differently is to have an offset plan. When the tariff hits the end user, when the tariff hits my pocket, I don't have affordability to pay $3.50 for something that was costing me $1. So where is the offset? Where would I get the money? If there was an offset to this whole plan, we know the tax changes are expiring at the end of this year. We have heard a lot of talks that those changes are going to be made permanent or are going to be extended. If you do these things in conjunction with each other, together,
Then it makes sense.
then it makes sense. It's easier to digest.
That's what, in short, Amitaji said. That let's be real about that. If she
Yeah.
gets a chance, anything in the closing that you like to add
Well, I'm a
quickly?
living example. My accountant doesn't know this yet. I haven't shared it with him. But I did buy a car in December, again with the fear of what was coming in January and February.
All right, good
with
luck
my
with it.
son's help. So yes, there are people like me who have done this.
Absolutely.
Let's hope, first of all, good luck with the car and everything else, and let's just hope that this tariff issue really doesn't become a very problematic and cumbersome for any kind of businesses, small to big businesses. AJ, thank you so very much for your time, and if there is any update on a tariff issue, we'll definitely bring it here in this show, the Tax Talk with AJ. Amitaji, thank you so very much
absolutely
for
welcome.
joining us. It's been very valuable to have you. AJ, once again, thank you. I am Sanjeev Pandya, wishing you all happy and tax-free, and for now, tariff-free days ahead. So long.
Thank you.